Oh shoot. Hi. Can you hear me? Y'all. Um Hello everybody. Happy Sunday. I'm so sorry that I'm late. This is you would think that I'd be really good at this by at this point, but y'all, can you hear me? Because remember with these live streams with a guest, I have to do it on my phone. I just want to make sure that okay, perfect, perfect. Hey everybody. Okay, so I'm so sorry that I'm running late. I hope everyone's having a great Sunday. Very excited to see y'all. I hope everyone's having a really great Sunday. It is, gosh, we had so much happening, didn't we? We had the new moon. We had the new moon in Aquarius on Friday. We had the Lunar New Year, the Chinese New Year yesterday. Gosh, it was a loaded weekend, wasn't it? And now we have Susan King coming to talk about love. Y'all, it is actually a really big week for that. If you think about one thing, and she's gonna join in about 5 minutes here, but what I was gonna say is that the reason why I really wanted to do this is because it's not just Valentine's Day that's happening. If you celebrate it or not, it is just a big week for love, especially on Tuesday. Mars conjuncting Pluto. Y'all, that's a big thing. I want you to know. Be prepared, okay? I mean, it's basically 0 degrees here. And when I say 0 degrees, I know that's like I try not to go into like astrology talk and just keep it simple, but that's just such a critical degree. And it's just it's like a big impact. And remember, these are two very powerful planets. So really think about owning your power. Remember, it's all about empowerment, okay? And then and over the weekend, we have Venus conjuncting Pluto, okay? But we got Mars moving into Aquarius. We have Venus moving into Aquarius. It's a big week, y'all. But it's gonna be like on Tuesday. Just be prepared. That's a big aspect, okay? It's a big aspect. What else? Is that it? I think that's it. Should we? Okay, so well, let me just see. Does and then on the 14th, yeah, there's so much that's happening on actual Valentine's Day, but I really did want to bring Susan on board because I get a lot of y'all, a lot of comments from y'all about love and things about love and relationships and it really is obviously that's everything that Venus rules, but uh Pluto is there. I mean, there is so much power around, like with Pluto being at play now. Um, on Tuesday, just be aware if there are, there is a sense of like just power. Okay, so you have a lot of power. Y'all have a lot of power. All right, it's a big one. But what I was saying is that yeah, a lot of comments about love and relationships. I thought, why not bring Susan King back on board because she is really this is like she's an intuitive counselor. Y'all, saw her last time. She's a psychic if that's a word we're still using these days. I have no idea, but she's like a good majority of her clients go to her for about love. And so she is really kind of like an expert there. And I just had a great time with her last time. So let me go ahead and uh, let me go ahead and let her in. Let me just do this. I got a new phone too. And so here we go. So she should be joining any second now. Um, oh, y'all want to see? Oh, well, Ruby's right at my feet, but hold on. Do you love that I'm like holding the phone in my hand? You can see like all of my apartment here, but there she is on the floor. She's always at my feet. Ruby's always at my feet. Okay, so let me put this down and see if we can do this. Um, Michael, you're asking if it's a good week for career. What sign are you? Listen, when I say you have a lot of power, you have a lot of power. Okay, so let me okay, but what sign are you? Hold on. Let me okay, let me bring there we go. Can you see me? There we go. um And y'all, and so after this, so Susan, here she is. So okay, Susan's gonna be welcome back, Susan. It is so great to see you.
Thank you, Jimmy. I'd forgotten that you could only go live on the phone.
Yeah. That's a YouTube thing. I think, with Pluto and Aquarius, obviously that's gonna change. That's gonna change. We're all gonna see that. But listen, this is a really good a time for love. It's a big week for love. There's a lot of love energy going around. And I was saying before you came on board that like who could who would be the best person to talk about this? Susan has private clients and she does, intuitive counseling, intuitive readings, and many of which I know that y'all had when we had her last time, y'all have had readings with her. So I'm so happy that this is all happening. It's really wonderful because I've known Susan for a long time, and so a lot of the, I would say the majority of your clients are there for love and romance. And yeah, so I just wanted to give you the floor for, a bit, and then we're going to answer some questions. People that have questions that come through, I'll bring them to your attention. And then again, like last time, just doing those little mini readings, because I think that people are you're so accurate that and before we even joined, Susan and I were on a call for, about half an hour before, and she was giving me, and I was like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe like you're actually seeing these. So it's really nice to have you. So Susan, I'm going to let you
Thank you,
take the
Jimmy.
floor.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought it would be a good idea to come on Jimmy's the tarot ship this week because it's Valentine's Day and love is a big thing in everybody's life. And I just thought that to talk about romance and love, and then maybe give you some insights, any questions that you have, or insights into your partners, and you know I see a lot of people who are involved with, romance or wanting romance or don't have romance or are confused. And sometimes what I'm finding a lot with my work, sometimes lots of people are coming together, and they're finding very quickly everything kind of explodes and goes the opposite way to what they thought. And I have an expression, and please think about this. And what the expression is that sometimes romantically, your need to be wanted outweighs your logic. So when you actually meet somebody, instead of looking at the whole situation in a logical way, you visualize what you see and the vibe you're getting, and off we go. But logically, that is not always the best way of doing things. And over the years, what I've also discovered is that you can go on a date, or one date, 2 dates, 3 dates, and then you still feel confused about the person. And there's one tip I'd like to give you, and that tip is this: it's possible, by being basically aware, for you to um, get insight into your dates. Now, you might be thinking, well, how's that possible? It is not possible, but it is possible, because awareness is something that we all possess, whether we realize it or not. And if you go on a date, or one date, or 2 dates, and you're still feeling a bit confused about whoever you are going out with, sit quietly when you've got nothing else to do and nothing on your mind, and play over in your head the date as though you're watching a movie. When you walk up to the person, look at their facial expressions in your mind's eye. Watch their eyes, watch their hands, watch how they look down, watch how they're listening to you. Watch it as though you're analyzing something in your mind's eye. And I guarantee you, after you've watched the movie in your head, certain things will hit you. It could be the way they say a word, because if you say to somebody, "Oh, my husband is Larry," there's a difference between saying, "My husband is Larry," and "My husband's Larry." Can you see the difference in my tone? There's two different tones there, and it's exactly the same when you're dealing with people. If you become aware and you watch the movie in your head 3 or 4 days later, you will find things will jump out at you. Now, I'm telling you that's possible. Go out and do it. Try it. And that can apply not just in romance, that can also apply in business. You might go to a business meeting. You might go for an interview for a job. And you don't know what you think or feel about what's happened. And then go play the movie in your head slowly, every single thing, and watch what hits you, because it will give you insight. And if you have insight into things, you can handle things better. For example, another example, you play the movie in your head and the date says to you, male or female, it doesn't matter. The date says to you, well, I'm not sure what I want from a relationship. I'm unsure. Now, if your logic, if your need to be wanted outweigh your logic, you didn't hear that. 99% of the time you don't hear that, so you go charging down the road and you're texting, you're doing all these things, and then texts are not coming back at the same rate that you're sending them out. So this creates a problem with your mood and all these little things. It's if you have a broken leg, you use a walking stick, don't you? You'll feel your way with a walking stick. And it's exactly the same romantically. When you're dealing with people, you need to listen to what's being said to you, not allowing your need to be wanted outweighing your logic. We've all been there. We've all been there, me included, down the line, down the road, way back when. So I feel that's something that's very, very important. You can also tell when you're speaking to somebody, when they speak about a person and say the person's name, if you pay attention to the way a person speaks about someone and how they say their name, that gives you great insight. So that's one aspect of the dating game and romance. And let's look at love itself, because there's different types of love. Not all love is the same. So, for example, we have friendships, and we can have friendships for a short time, or we can have friendships for a long time. And some of the friendships that we have, they could be, sharing with the person and feeling you can say anything to them and feeling a great deep bond with them. And you might have deep affection and care, and that's a form of love that you can have with a close friend. It doesn't mean you want to run off with them or live with them, but you have this feeling inside of trust, and you have this feeling of comfort, and that's something that comes with friendship. You can also have infatuation. That's another form of love, and that involves really intense feelings and a strong sense of commitment. And it often takes place early in the relationship, and it can deepen, and it can be a lasting love. And you can have two people infatuated with each other, and it starts off as infatuation, and it's that kind of feeling where you can't get your breath, or you think about them and you have all these butterflies going crazy in your stomach, and you dream about them. So there's infatuation that comes into play as well, which is also a form of love, because love is an emotion. It's an emotion we feel. I mean, lots of people have their own interpretation, of what love is, but well, let me think. What else? Passion. We've got passion. Love can come from passion, being passionate. It doesn't have to be passionate about a person. It can be passionate about your dog. Ruby, for example, my boy Cattell, who's sleeping at my feet here. I have passion for him. I love. There's love. I have affection. I care about if he's happy, if he's sad, if he's hungry. So passion is a great leveler as far as emotion and love is concerned. And then you've got compassionate love, or being compassionate, and this kind of love is like it's trust, it's affection, it's intimacy, it's commitment. It's compassion, it's in us. I sound like I feel like I'm like a flame, feeling all these different emotions. Mind you, there is one type of love which is not necessarily a good thing, because we can love somebody and it may not be returned, unrequited love. And that's very hard. That can cause a lot of pain. And I've seen that quite often. Excuse me, I'm going to hiccup. I've seen that quite often in relationships where you think that because your need to be needed has outweighed your logic, and you feel that this is it, this is the person, but you're not seeing clearly, not because you're not capable of seeing clearly, but because you don't choose to, because you have this incredible need. And so that is a sad situation when that happens. But the thing about romance and love and all these different things, you can't go out and demand it. I know in today's world, everybody has a checklist, 1 to 10. You've got to be this, or she's got to be this. And sometimes maybe that works, but you're not buying a house, and you're not buying a car, and you're not buying a pair of shoes. You're dealing with human emotions. And human emotions can be like the ocean, twisting and turning. You could be with somebody for a decade and then suddenly find out they suffer from mood swings and you've never really seen it. So I don't believe that a checklist completely is the way to go. I'm not saying you don't have standards and you don't have certain things that that you need, but you've also got to take in the human element. I always think that's a little bit like psychometric testing. Like sometimes when you go for a job and they give you a psychometric test, again, some of it can be spot on, but there's too many variations in culture, in human beings, in moods, in mindsets, in basic psychology, that can't always steer that boat along the path that you think it's going to, because human beings are not exactly as they may appear. So I really feel that, though, there's all different types of love, and I'm sure some of your guests that are listening, Jimmy, will be aware that there's different types of love that they have, because the kind of love that you have for your children, if you have children, that's a different type of love than you have for your sister or your brother. It's a different feeling. It's a completely different emotion. So you've also got to think about, what is love? What does love mean to you? What does it mean to you? What is it that what top hat do you put on love? Is it an attachment? Is it needing to be with another person? Is it desiring physical contact and approval? Is that what love means to you? Is it caring? Is it valuing the other person's happiness, needs, like you do your own? Is it intimacy? There's all different types of how people see and feel love. And I feel that the one thing that I think is important, and I do believe there's somebody out there for everybody, even if we don't know who they are at this moment in time, there's somebody out there for everybody. But I really feel that before you embark on a relationship, or before you say, yes, this is right for me, this isn't, you've got to feel inside of yourself. You've got to feel that you're okay with who you are. Have you ever heard the expression, you've got to feel well in your skin with who you are? You can't expect that relationship to be everything, your whole world, your whole life, because our lives are not made up of just us. There's different components. If you look at a picture on the wall, it's got hills, it might have houses, it might have rivers, it might have trees, it might have kids playing, and our lives are like that. Our lives, we have our home, we have our family, we have our siblings, we have our work, and we have our relationships. It's all part of that greater picture. So just because there's nobody there right now with a bespoke pair of shoes that you can put on and say, that's my romance. Do not feel that there's not somebody there for you, and do not feel that they have to fill the whole of your world, because when that happens, disillusionment begins. If you go into a romantic encounter thinking that that relationship is going to fill my whole world and it's going to be everything to me, and I'm not saying for 1 second that you can't have the richest, deepest, most.
So, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
You froze for a second. I was so into it. Keep going.
Yeah. So you need to know that that's part of, it's part of your life. And if you do that, it's like a rich tapestry. You know, if you walk down an art gallery and you look at the I tend to be very metaphorical with the way I explain things. You know, I'm going from shoes to tapestry, but it's the rich tapestry of life. Reminds me of the Jungle Book. You know, they sing about tapestry on the Jungle Book, and that brings me to Rudyard Kipling, because Rudyard Kipling is a very famous poem. He's a poet, but the thing about Kipling is his knowledge of the human psyche is beyond anything I've ever heard or seen. But anyway, I'm going off the point. The point is, it's part of your world, not the whole of your world. Now, the other thing that I think is very, very important, and that is when you're with somebody and you feel mixed up and you feel confused, which a lot of us get, and we've all been there. The one thing that destroys relationships is doubt. Doubt. Because are they going to call? Are they going to text? Why aren't they texting? Why aren't this? Why aren't this? Why aren't that? Doubt. And I suppose doubt is like that with all things in life. But I think that's another thing you've got to be aware of. And also, don't prejudge. Don't prejudge. So romance is not just about, I need somebody, I want somebody in my life. There's a lot of different components. It's like having a bowl of fruit. There's all kinds of different pieces of fruit here. And just because you have half a dozen bad relationships or something doesn't work out, it doesn't mean there's not somebody out there. Now, the other point as well is soulmates. People say, well, that's my soulmate. Is there a soulmate? Well, I think everybody has their own opinion on that. I actually believe there's more than one soulmate in our lives, because what happened if somebody goes to war, they never come back? What happens if somebody passes away? What happens if there's divorce? Does that mean it's the end of the road for you? I don't think so. So I think there is more than one, but I'm sure, I mean, probably your listeners feel there's one, and there's lots of them that will feel no, that's not the case. But I think it's a very interesting subject and a very interesting topic. And the other thing is, sometimes you can look at a person's behavior and you can say to yourself, oh, they're being ridiculous, and they're not this, and they're not, and they don't care. But sometimes, whether it's romance or whether it's work, what's going on in that person's life? What's going on that you don't know or that you don't see? What is it? What is it that's happening? Is there something they're not feeling good at work about? Is there something within the family? I think it's also important that you don't prejudge, because if you prejudge, you know, you can give yourself answers without even knowing what the problem is. So that's my little bit of, intake on different types of romance and love, and yeah. So I don't know if any of your listeners have got any questions for me. Or...
Yeah, no, Susan, thank you so much. That was really, really nice to hear. And it's so funny because we both kind of just say the same things, but in different ways. I always talk about, trusting your intuition. I mean, it is so it's so important. And I learned that at a young age. And I learned that when you do that, I always say we're all made of energy, right? And it is love. When you think about love, it is the one thing in the world that transcends time and space. You can perceive it on so many different dimensions. I mean, I can go really meta here, but I think sometimes, like, when you have doubts, when you have fears, when you have these moments where you could be in a situation where you feel like, even like doomed or feeling that way. Like, I always look at my dog. Dogs they're equipped
Oh
with, like,
yes.
all they do is love, and you can learn so much just by looking at, like, your dog. Or,
And
and so and another thing is, one thing that I don't talk about enough is, I think that, like, anytime that, I do this a lot, but anytime someone does feel like, maybe doubtful or questioning things, I think it's so important just to lay there and just think of your heart. Just think of your heart. Just focus on your heart, and that does so much for you. And I think that, obviously, like, our bodies are sacred. Our bodies are a temple, and the heart is, I can go. I mean, I know that we don't have a lot of time here, and I talk so much. So that's what I'm gonna leave for y'all. But what is yeah? Does anybody have any questions of what's going on? I know that some of y'all are excited to do a little bit of get some insight from Susan on anything that she just talked about. And then she is really great. I think that I wrote a question down earlier. Amanda Kelly asked, and I don't know if she's still here, but she's wondering. Uh, she's wondering about the highest good about her connection with her person Rodney.
she's wondering about her connection with her boyfriend.
She said person.
Okay, her
That's
person.
what she wrote.
Well, off the top of my head, intuitively, what I feel about Rodney is this: Rodney can be very within himself. He can be very guarded. He doesn't wear his emotions on his sleeve. He can be, you can feel like everything's fine, chit chat, chit chat, chit chat. And then I kind of feel a quietness around him, and maybe that's what she means with this Rodney around her. I don't know, but that's the feeling I have. But I don't feel it's anything to do with her or how they interact as human beings. I think it's part of who he is as a person. And I think emotionally, he's a bit fragile.
Okay, there you go, Amanda. I don't know if she left.
I
Another
think
person is asking, Oz O'Neill, single for 24 years because Oz will not settle, but is so lonely. Will Oz ever not be alone?
so. Is Oz online now?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. Um, well, I want to go. Is Oz is male, correct? Is it a
I
guy?
don't know. Oz. I mean, that's a good question for Oz.
Is it a guy there?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yes. Yeah, my feeling is a guy.
The
I want to go. I want.
the thumbnails are so small on my screen I can't even see.
Okay.
But yeah,
I want to go. I want to go, Oz, to your childhood. I want to go way back when with you, because when I hear the question, I work by getting mental pictures and images in my mind's eye, and what I see is a little boy, and I feel that that little boy that I'm looking at is you. It's got to do with you, your emotions as a little boy, and I feel there's a protectiveness around you. There's almost a protectiveness, and it's almost like a bubble, and I feel within this bubble you're there. And I'm not saying you have fear. I'm not using the word fear, but I feel that you have this protective bubble that you live within, and there's a part of you that is unsure about stepping outside of that bubble, but it comes from when you were small. Now I don't know whether um your father figure was a strong influence in your life, I don't know, or whether it was a grandfather, but I feel psychologically that's where that comes from. That feeling of, am I ever going to be alone? And the answer is no, because all you have to say to yourself, Oz, is I am not defined by my past. I am defined by who I am right now, the human being I am. And the one thing you have, Oz, is kindness. You're a very kind person. And I do feel you like animals. You do things for people. There's a kindness. And I think if you let that part of you out, which is kept within the bubble, I think your life would change. And I think that you would be a lot happier. And I don't think you need to be alone for the rest of your life. That's what I feel. I don't know what you've got to say about that, Oz. Has he responded to us, Jimmy?
Thank you, Susan. Well, we'll wait for Oz to respond. In the meantime, Katie is asking that she is seeing someone, but her partner has a wall up and is not expressive anymore. Will this turn around?
Now, I don't know how long she's been seeing her partner, but my feeling is they lived with somebody before or they've had a long-term relationship. That's what I feel. And I feel the way this person is, again, is nothing to do with Katie. And as long as you know, I've got an analogy here. You pick up sand from the beach and you let it lie in your hand. You squeeze your fingers and it will run through. Human beings are like that. You're dealing with somebody here, Katie, who has either lived with somebody or had a long-term relationship and has had a lot of pain. There's pain within them. That pain could also have been around them in their teenage years to do with their family. And I feel that that's what you're dealing with, and you can't take it personally. And it's a question of patience. Do you want this person? Does this person have qualities that you feel have value to you and a relationship? And there's only you know that, and there's only you can answer that. My feeling is that you're blowing hot and cold with that, Katie. There's part of you feels, yes, I can weather this storm, and there's another part of you feeling this is getting on my nerves and I can't be bothered with it. So the baby's in your hands, and it's a question of, have you got the patience? I don't think you have, to tell you the truth, but I'm happy to be proved wrong. But I just don't think you have, because you're becoming restless and you're starting to tell your friends, the people around you, and having conversations about it. And when you've had conversations with your friends, you come away feeling incredibly low about the situation. So you're being influenced by outside forces and not just your own feelings and emotions. And when that's happening, you can't be objective. And that's what I feel, Katie.
Thank you, Susan. Oz, by the way, is a female. So everything that you said, Oz is a female. Okay. So I but I think she got the message. Okay, cool.
Is that all she said?
Heather Matthews has been with someone for 25 years. He's at work a month at a time for 12 years now. Where do you get? She just wants to get some clarity on that. Right, Heather?
What kind of clarity? He goes away working for a month and he comes back. I mean, what clarity? I mean, if that's a habit, a pattern.
She just wants some guidance. I cannot even find her message again. Where'd it go? Oh my god, there's so many. Okay.
I'm curious about Oz.
Okay.
I'm curious.
She says that I thought Perry was who I would end up with.
Perry. But Oz was
Female.
female. Okay. Okay. The last question you asked me, it's not a question to me. She's been with somebody for 25 years. For the last 12 years, they go for a month working away, which is obviously how they make their bread and butter. I don't see her wanting to run away. So I don't know what the question is, Jimmy.
Yeah, Heather, if you want to ask an actual question, y'all leave questions, okay?
Because I need
that would be
questions.
very helpful.
I can't sort of conjure something up at my
Okay.
you know. I rely on when you ask me a question, I rely on pictures coming into my head. I rely on that. And don't forget, I'm not listening to a word, a voice, an email. I'm up into the air here with intuition. So I don't know. Oh, there's somebody saying, "Hi, Michelle." Somebody just said, "Hi, Michelle." Hi, Michelle.
Yeah, there is a
Thank you, Jean, for the red sweater. Yes.
Eva in London, where you're based, Susan, well, around London. Just want some love insights, but Eva, we'll get back to you when you ask a specific question. Um, and then Sally, she says her husband Joel have been off and on since junior high school. They're married and happy now. She does feel like he is her soulmate and they've been connected for many lives. She wants to know if that's true.
Well, I do believe in past lives, most definitely. Sometimes I've had feelings more off than not that I've been in another time and another place. One of those times was in Japan. Sometimes when you go to a strange place you've never been to, you have what they call culture shock. But when I went to Japan, I didn't feel anything like that at all. I felt very much at peace, and I used to spend sometimes 4 weeks at a time there, and felt very much at home and very much at peace, even at weekends when I was alone. I didn't feel alone. So, yes, I believe in other lives and other times. Um, and I don't know whether Heather feels that she's had another life or another time. Maybe
Sally, Sally.
Sally, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know whether she feels that. I don't know if she's said anything, but I think that's very possible. Very possible. Um, yeah.
I would think so. I think that we are, oh gosh, I'm not gonna take up your time. Sorry.
No,
Um
it's okay. No, please,
I
please, Jimmy.
no, I feel like I do believe that we are all spiritual beings, right? We're all in these human vessels. And I think that we are all on these soul journeys with the people in our lives and we've lived in past and it's gone on since, infinity. So in the next life we will be with those same souls that we were a part of a collective with. And so that's just me. Let's move on. Jean, hello, Jean. Great to see you, Jean. Jean, she says, okay, so Jean is saying that she's not looking for love now, but she's wondering if there's going to be someone there for her in her future.
She's not looking for love now. Um, yeah, I do think there'll be somebody in her future, but when I feel Jean, I feel she's got a lots of different things going on around her. There's so many different things, not just one thing. It's not
Mhm.
like I've got my home. There's lots of different things around her life that is taking her time and her focus. And I think for the foreseeable, she's going to be very much involved in doing these different things and different projects that she's got around her. I don't even know whether she's moving house or not, because I have the feeling of piling things on top of each other unless she's making major changes in the home. I'm not sure, but I do think I I I do think that down the road when things have cleared, yes, yes.
Yeah, and
Oh,
Jean, you know what I'm gonna say because do you know what I'm gonna say, Jean? She says, "I'm not looking for love now, but will there be someone for me in the future?" She's had bad luck in love my whole life, and so Jean, you know what I'm gonna say. You know that I'm gonna say it. We're all made of energy. Every single part of us is made of energy, down to the molecular level. Your thoughts, everything that you write. So when you write those things like bad luck and love my whole life,
mhm.
that you're putting that energy out there. So you've got to rewrite that. You have to say, um, I'm I'm excited to find amazing luck in my life because I deserve it now. Yeah, Gene, I got you. All right. So
Yeah,
um
I would agree with that 100%.
yeah, it really is like, I talk about energy all the time. I'm sure people are just like, stop.
Well, that's when we
But
meet
it's so
people,
true.
Jimmy, when we meet people, that's the one thing that we feel and sense is their energy.
Yeah.
We when we walk into a room, we feel either comfort or discomfort, or peaceful or not peaceful. When we meet somebody, it's exactly the same. We feel okay with this person, or we don't feel comfortable, and that's us sensing energy, and we do that all the time. And sometimes, as we go back to intuition, what is how I work is by listening to our intuition, because that's incredibly important that we listen to that. So it's something that is very relevant energy.
Okay,
No,
so Heather,
somebody's just said something here. Love yourself first and foremost. That's a very
yeah,
interesting question. You know why? Because loving yourself, I've always struggled with that. I will be honest with you. I've always struggled with, I can't look in the mirror and say, I love that person that's looking back at me. Because to me, I would be looking at my image. Now, my analogy of loving yourself first is not about what I see in the mirror. It's about what I feel in here. Because to me, what makes me who I am, my warmth, my understanding, my kindness. I'm bad tempered as well sometimes. I'm irritable sometimes. I get frustrated sometimes. I'm not a morning person when I wake up at 6 in the morning. So I'm well aware I've got both of those things, but it's those qualities within me. That's who I can have affection and love for, rather than the image. And that's why I've always struggled when people say you've got to love yourself first. My interpretation is different, perhaps, to how everybody else looks at it.
exactly. Susan, Carla, she's asking about her ex and her future with him. They've been apart for a year, so she's wondering what's going to happen.
They've been separated for a year, even though they were together, and now they've separated.
Well, I don't know if they work together. They've been there. She's saying that I would love insight about my ex and my future with him. We've been apart for a year.
Okay. From that question, I feel they've been together and then they've been apart. My analogy, when I see the images, I see the back of him. I don't see the front of him. I see the back of him, and I feel that in order for that to be completely turned around, there has got to be incredible vulnerability shown. I don't know if it's possible to turn that around, because I see the back of him. I'm not feeling any movement in him. I'm feeling the back of him. And that tells me that a line has been drawn. I don't even know where he is. I feel like I can't feel him. Does she know where he is? I don't feel him at all.
No, we can. I'm still catching up with questions from like 20 minutes ago. But
Oh,
back to Heather, because this was a big mystery about Heather. She's the one that's been with someone for 25 years. And so she just wrote that she believes his name's Mike, okay? Susan, she believes that he is part of her soul family. They've had many, many lives. It's been a karmic relationship, but she thinks it's now time to change mates. Should she be looking, or is he like the one?
well, first of all, I don't believe you go looking. I mean, I know we've got all the dating sites these days, and we can go fishing on the dating sites. And if that's your preference, then so be it. Um, for her to feel like this, she's obviously disillusioned. There's disillusionment here. And I feel that whatever she's been saying to him, because I think she will have actually been expressing this in some way, whether she's been expressing it in the right way, I question. And I don't think he's aware that her disillusionment is as it is. And I think in order to clarify things, she needs to sit down with him. She needs to put all her cards on the table, not hold anything back, share her vulnerabilities, and explain everything. I know he's a person that doesn't like doing things like that, and he doesn't like talking out loud about those things. He'd rather go the other way and it'll sort itself out. But I feel if she does that, she'll get the answer she's looking for. She's not going to get the answer she's looking for by, should I do this or should I do that? Because she's been there for 25 years. And I don't feel he's a bad person. He's not a bad person. He's a person that she shared her life with, and in order to get clarity, she needs to sit with him, put her cards on the table, and explain how she's feeling. Because a lot of times when she says things or does things, there's been clashing and arguments. Little arguments start to brew. So when she's done that, when she's been able to do that, then she will get the answer, not from just, clicking fingers into the air. That's what I feel, Jimmy.
Nice. This is actually, I'm very curious because this is like it's like almost like any like rom-com or movie about love. Michelle wants to know, is there someone new coming into my life, or is my last relationship returning?
When you say that to me, I feel stalemate. I feel it's like, like, oh, do I go that way? Do I go that way? I don't think she can think, is the last relationship returning? Because there's a part of her that's disassociated from it, and there's a part of her that isn't. And I think the best thing for her to do is to focus on her daily life and what she's doing, and start to socialize more and enjoy life more. And I think somebody will come into her world, and I feel they'll be sporty. I don't know whether they'll be a tennis player or whether they like baseball, but I do feel that if she's able to step outside the comforts of her space.
Oh, I like that. Someone sporty. Ellen asks,
What does
my husband is a deer, and I believe my soulmates passed on several years ago. It feels like this is it forever. I feel like it feels like this is it forever. Me in love. Am I correct?
Her soulmates passed on years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and she's with a man who she likes, who's good, and she
Yeah.
wants to know if this is it.
Yep.
Well, I believe, Helen, that our heart sings.
Ellen.
Ellen with an E. I beg your
Mhm.
pardon, Ellen. I believe your heart will sing and will tell you that this is it. Your heart will tell you. And if that's what your heart's telling you, then yes. The fact that you're asking out loud about it, I question, do you have doubt? 90% of the time, I don't think you do. So I think you should listen to your heart. Listen to your heart. Oh, Oz says there is a bubble. Oh, yes. Yeah. Thank you, Oz. Thank you, Oz.
Yeah. So I think this is the first guy, unless I'm wrong, Fast Teddy Clark, who is an Aquarius, and his birthday is on Valentine's Day. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I love my fellow Aquarians. Okay, so Fast Teddy Clark wants to know if there is a person, a passion, or a lifestyle that they have to leave behind.
What's his name? Fast Eddie?
Teddy.
Fast Teddy.
Mm-hmm.
Fast, F-A-S-T, fast.
I would just assume Teddy Clark, who's pretty fat.
Okay. No, I find that quite intriguing. Fast Teddy Clark. It's kind of cute.
I love it. Yeah.
Is there a lifestyle he has to leave behind?
Or a person or a passion? Is there something that they have to leave behind? Mm-hmm.
Well, when I hear that, the picture in my head, I see a man with a pair of jeans, and I see him with his arms folded, which I feel is an image of Teddy Clark. I see him with his arms folded, and I see him looking to his side and taking stock of his life and trying to make some sense of it all. And I feel he's on the verge of making the choices that he's asked the question about. Should I leave certain things behind? Because he feels I think he's been a kind person. I think he's been very giving. I think he's been somebody who feels, I've given, and I've done so much, and I feel it's like, well, do I keep doing that? Yes, you do. You don't change who you are. You don't change the person who you are, the warmth and the kindness you have, but you just set some boundaries around yourself, and by setting those boundaries, you're able to deal with things differently, and things may not go upside down in the way that they have in the past. That makes sense.
Yeah, just to shake things up a little bit here, Susan, someone is asking about their career. And I know that you do. I mean, and I'm very curious. You were just talking to me about mine. Spencer is asking, uh, they have a big career move in the works, choosing between three, and they put it on the board. Okay. So they have these three careers in mind. Will the career be what's on the board now, or will it be something else?
So they've got three careers.
Paths.
I say opportunities rather than careers, because sorry, my dog's here. Three careers. I don't look at it as three careers. That takes me out of
Career moves. Career moves. Yeah.
I feel between now and the end of April that this person will make a major move. And it's a complete change of direction from what they've known or what they've been doing, but it still somehow comes under the same umbrella. And it will take them out of their comfort zone. But I feel if they have faith in who they are and what they're doing, they can make it work. But it's going to be a big challenge, but it can work. And I think that this particular one of the three is maybe the one they want, but feel it's out of reach. But it isn't. It isn't out of reach. It isn't out of reach.
Okay. Here's someone, Karina Castillo. She's asking, and I'm very curious about this. She's struggling with her marriage, and she said it almost ended on January 20th, the day that Pluto moved into Aquarius. She's wondering if her marriage is going to survive. Karina Castillo.
Okay. Hi, Karina. I'm sorry to hear you're having trouble and difficulties. What I think is this. I don't know what is wrong with your partner, but I feel there's a lot of repressed anger inside of him. And I think it's got to do with family issues, which I think is nothing to do with you personally. I think there's issues in this person's family. And in order to help things between the two of you, in order to help things, you will have to be tolerant and you will have to be patient. And instead of reacting when this person goes off at these different issues that come up, instead of reacting, try and be quiet, listen, and then maybe 24 hours later, 48 hours later, then say an opinion. Say, well, I've been thinking about what you said, and I don't think you're wrong, but have you ever looked at it this way? Because the problem is going on around him rather than her, and it's like these little mini explosions happening, but it's solvable. You can sort that out because he's still the same person who you've always known. He's just got some massive issues going on. There's a lot of repressed anger, and it's not towards you, but it's coming out that way because when he's venting, you're reacting, and it's like pouring petrol on a fire. It's making the flame get stronger. So don't react, let things calm down, and then I was thinking about what you've said, and I wondered if you've ever thought of looking at it this way, and leave it, because he's not stupid. It's food for thought. So I do think it's workable. I do think you can sort it out if you have a little bit of patience and a little bit savvy. That's what I feel, Karina.
Okay. We have time for a few more questions. There's one hit wonder who is happily married and with her husband, But since last summer, he feels like he's not finding happiness within himself. She wants to know what's going on there.
When she says he's not finding happiness within himself, I don't know whether she means he's not finding happiness within the relationship with her, or whether he's just unhappy. It's a difficult question to answer, because I don't know where she's coming from. I'll go with my intuition. I feel that there's some depression in him. There's some depression in him, and there's also there's also a lot of things he's not saying out loud. He's not being totally honest about what's going on inside of him. He needs to put his cards on the table. You've got a situation where he's not putting all his cards on the table. He's not being honest with what's going on, and he's a little bit down, which could have things to do with his working environment, also things to do with the house. I don't know whether you're wanting to do things around your house or move or something that he's not happy with. It's almost as if he's not feeling good about him, the person, rather than the relationship. And I think there's quite a lot of different components in that. I think it's where he is in life, what his work situation is in life, what he's capable of doing, and maybe he's feeling I should be in a different position now than what I have been, or what I beg your pardon. I think he's feeling he should be on a different level or a different position, or gone on a little bit more than what he is at this moment in time. So I feel there's things going on in him that he's feeling a little bit of an underdog in some way. So it's salvageable, it's workable. So please don't walk away. Get him to talk out loud. Get him to share some of his vulnerabilities. Put my glasses back on because I can't see without them.
I know it's so much harder on the phone than my computer. So
yes, it is. It's much more difficult.
I am just going through oh my gosh. I'm like still like 20 minutes behind of the questions. I think someone is asking if Rena is asking about, what do you feel about Rena? She's asking about love in terms of long-term commitments. I don't know if she's in a relationship, but do you see feeling anything for Rena?
Rena, she's not asking anything.
What do you see coming up for me with love, long-term, high-level commitment?
Well, before I answer that question, which I don't have a lot to go on, only my intuition, my feeling is that she needs to feel much better with who she is as a person, and she needs to start doing things outside the box, start doing things that she wouldn't normally do, engage in different things in life, because I feel that she's kind of like not looking at a brick wall, but not looking at the bigger picture of life and what's around her. And I feel there's endless possibilities, but she's not seeming to tune into them, because she's, I don't know, I get this feeling of like I'm not a box, but like I'm not seeing the brighter things of life. And I feel she just needs to do things a little bit outside the box.
Okay. And then there is Lily B, who wants to know if I will end up with Paul G.
Lily B asking, will she end up with Paul G? Paul G to me is a happening person, likes social, likes moving and shaking. I get that kind of feeling. And I don't know if the Mr. G is ready to coming up for me, love long term. I can see that. I don't know if Mr. G is ready for that, but I do feel he's a person. I do feel he's a person who has got the makings of a family man. I do feel that about him, but I feel his head at the moment is not necessarily on the same train tracks as Rena. But that doesn't mean it can't go there down the road.
Okay. And then there is oh my gosh. Uh, I don't even know. There's one more question that has been coming up a couple times. S- Uh, where did it go? Okay. Something about Sir or something.
Jean's moving. She's just said she's moving in May or June.
Oh, can you see them? Okay, good. Because
That's the lady that said, did I see romance in
yeah.
her life? I said,
Okay.
there's too many things going on around her right now, different things, different tasks, different stuff, and she could even be moving. She says she's moving. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I think there's someone for everyone.
Okay. Okay. Well, Susan, thanks so much. I know that was so many little mini readings you did, so I really appreciate it. I'm really grateful for that. And there was just a lot of questions going around. So, of course, we'll have you back on board. I always love having you here, Susan. If anybody has any questions, or even if you want to book a reading with Susan, what is your website? Susan King Intuitive, right?
That's correct. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So you can book private readings with Susan, and she does give a discount to anyone that goes to her. That mention me, okay? Mention me, and yeah, and then she'll know that it's because we just don't want to deal with codes and all that stuff, and it's just a lot easier when you book with her just to reference me, and you're good, and then you're good, y'all. Thank you so much, Susan. It was so nice having you back.
You too,
Thank you so
Jimmy.
much, everybody. Sorry we didn't get to everybody's questions. There were so many questions, but it was just moving so fast. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. And Susan, thank you again for being here. And thanks for everything that you've blessed us with. And I hope everyone got
Pleasure.
some insight with love. Okay. Thanks
Take
so
care.
much, y'all. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
I didn't turn this off. Let me. Oh, okay, there we go.